Hi everyone, my name is Rosemary Cantu and I'm going to talk about biology fields. The first biology fields that we have here is histology, that studies all the tissues of human body. Then we have botany that studies the structure, function and the plants, because it has a lot of importance studies that because we need plants to breathe. And then we have zoology that studies the development of animals. The genetics studies the DNA and the chromosomes. Microbiology studies all the little microorganisms that have in our environment. Limnology studies pond water. The embryology studies the development of gametes. Immunology studies all the immunology system of our body. Anatomy studies all the human body, the tissues, the bones and all that. And entomology studies the insects and all that stuff. On the other hand, we have the branches of biology, and the first one is the biochemistry that studies all the chemical process in living things. Then we have the biophysics that studies that the laws are involved on the biological phenomena. Then we have biotechnology that studies all and make the antibiotics for the diseases. The cell biology studies all the structure of the cell. Ecology studies the organisms plus the environment in which they are involved. The evolution studies like the history of the human. Virology studies all the viruses in our environment. Structural biology studies macromolecules. Radiobiology studies the ionization radiation of living beings. Molecular biology studies the proteins and all that stuff. And microbiology studies the little or microorganisms of the environment. And finally, we have the marine biology that studies the organisms in the ocean. The next topic that I'm going to talk about is how did life start. We don't know how exactly life started, but we have some theories. So the first one, Stanley Miller did an experiment to know how Earth was composed, and he thinks that methane, ammonia, and nitrogen was the gases that the Earth was composed. So he did an experiment and put these gases in a container, and other scientists do the same. So they think that carbon dioxide and nitrogen was the gases of the Earth was composed, and they believe that. Then they believe like in small molecules, there was genetic molecules that is the first living organism which has RNA, and another theory is LUCA, is like universal common ancestor.
Characteristics of living things. Movement. All living things move in some way. Even plants move to the look of the sun. Respiration. Respiration is a chemical reaction that happens within cells to release energy from food. Sensitivity is the ability to detect changes in the surrounding environment. Growth. All things grow in a different ratio, but they grow. Reproduction is the ability to reproduce and pass genetic information onto their offspring. Excretion, getting rid of the waste of the things that they don't need. Nutrition, the intake and use of nutrients. Differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells do not have a well-defined nucleus, but DNA molecule is located in the cell. It is called nucleus. Whereas eukaryotic cells have a well-defined nucleus where genetic material is stored. Eukaryotic cells haven't evolved from prokaryotic cells only, but contains different types of organelles like endoplasmatic reticulum, Golgi body, mitochondria, etc., which are specific in their functions. But features like grow, response, and most importantly, giving birth to young ones are commonly shared by all living organisms. The different types of cell transportation. Passive is a kind of transport by which ions or molecules move along a concentration gradient, which means movement from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. Active. Active transport requires energy. It is the most commonly accomplished by having a transport protein which changes shape when it binds with the cell's full, that is a molecule called ATP. Diffusion. In this process of diffusion, a substance tends to move from an area of lower concentration until its concentration is balanced and equal in both sides. Facilitated diffusion is the process of spontaneous passive transport of molecules or ions across a biological membrane by a specific transmembrane integral proteins. Endocytosis. Endocytosis is the process of capturing a substance or particle from outside the cell by engulfing it with the cell membrane and bringing it to the cell. Exocytosis. It occurs when a cell produces substances for export, such as a protein, or when the cell is getting rid of a waste product of a toxin. Levels of organization in biology. Molecules are made of atoms and are the smallest unit of chemical elements. Cell. It is the basic unit of life. Tissue is made of cells that work together to perform a certain task. Organ. An organ is a system of tissues that work together on a larger scale to do certain jobs within animal's body. Organ system. It is a group of organs that work together to perform specific bodily functions. Organism is a recognizable, self-contained individual. Population is a group of multiple organisms of the same species within a specific area. Community consists of all the different species within a certain area. Ecosystem. It is made of all the communities in a certain area, as well as all non-living things, physical components on the environment. And biosphere. It is all of the ecosystems on Earth added together.
Hello, my name is Abigail, and now I'm going to talk about the microscopes. Microscopes let us view the objects around us that are too small to be seen with the naked eye. Let's talk about its history. In 710 before Common Era, the normal lens, a piece of rock crystal, may have been used as a magnifying glass. In 1284, in the Common Era, the Armade created the first wearable eyeglasses. In 1590, Zacharias Janssen and Hans observed that objects in front of the tube with multiple lenses appear rarely enlarged. In 1609, Galileo Galilei develops a compound microscope with a convex and a concave lens. In 1665, the English physicist Robert called cells when describing tissues. In 1676, Antony von Leeuwenhoek built a simple microscope with one lens to examine wood, animals, and yeast. In 1931, Ernest Röska and Max Knoll designed the first DEM. In 1981, Gerd Bingen and Erich Rodner invented the STEM. In 2010, researchers used a cryo-electron microscope to see the atoms of a virus. In 2012, Nobel Prize in Chemistry awarded for the development of super-solid fluorescent that permits see matter smaller than 0.2 micrometers. Now it's time to talk about the cell. Cell is a basic unit of life. Robert Hill suggested the name cell in 1665. Cells have many parts, each with a different function and certain tasks within the cell. There are two types of cells, eukaryotic and prokaryotic. Cell theory is one of the basic principles of biology. It states all living 1. All living organisms are composed of cells. 2. The cell is a basic unit of life. 3. Cells arise from pre-existing cells. I'm going to say a few parts of a eukaryotic cell. The nucleus houses the cell's DNA. Mitochondria are responsible for ATP production. The endoplasmic reticulum modifies proteins and lipids, and the Golgi apparatus is where the sorting of lipids and proteins takes place. Now, a few parts of a prokaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cells have a region in the cell, termed the nucleus, in which a single chromosome is located. The plasma membrane is a thin lipid that separates the inside from the cell from the outside. The cell wall is a protective layer that surrounds some cells and gives them shape and rigidity. Reproduction in prokaryotes is asexual and usually takes place by binary fission. Basically, this is its structure. Thank you.
I'm going to explain the organ systems. The human body is made up of several organ systems. They all work together to make sure the functioning of their body. And it is most commonly that the body divides into 11 organ systems. Let's see them.
Well, now I'm going to explain you the organ systems. I'm going to start with the cardiovascular system. It is composed by heart, blood, and blood vessels. Its function is to transport the oxygen, nutrients, and other substances to the cells, and also it transports the waste, such as the carbon dioxide. Now the lymphatic system. I didn't know it, but it exists. This one is composed by lymph nodes, and lymph vessels. Its function is to defend against the infections and diseases and transfers the lymph between the bloodstream and the tissues.
Now we have the digestive system.
This one is composed by mouth, salivary glands, esophagus, stomach, liver, gallbladder, exocrine, pancreas, small intestine, and large intestine.
Well, its function is to process foods and absorb minerals, vitamins, water, and nutrients.
The endocrine system. Well, its principal function is to provide the communication within the body via hormones. Also, it helps to maintain the homeostasis. It is composed by pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, endocrine, pancreas, adrenals, testes, and ovaries.
The integumentary system. This system provides us the protection from injuries and fluid loss, and the physical defense against the infection caused by microorganisms.
It is composed by skin, hair, and nails.
Now we have the muscular system.
It is composed by skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscles.
Provides movement, support, and heat production. Nervous system.
It is composed by brain, spinal cord, nerves, and sensory organs.
Transfers and process the information of another organ systems. We have the reproductive system.
The reproductive system of the female is composed by fallopian tubes, uterus, vagina, ovaries, and mammary glands. On the other hand, the reproductive system of male is composed by testes, vas deferens, seminal vesicles, prostate, and penis.
Its function is to produce gametes, or also called sex cells, and the sex hormones. The respiratory system.
It is composed by mouth, nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, lungs, and diaphragm.
Its principal function of the respiratory system is to supply the blood with oxygen, and this way the blood will deliver to all the parts of the body the oxygen. Skeletal system.
It is composed by bones, cartilage, joints, tendons, and ligaments.
Its principal function of this system is to support and protect all the tissues of our body that are soft. Now we have the urinary system. Well, its principal function is to remove all the water, salts, and waste products from the blood in the body. Also, it controls the pH of the body.
This one is composed by kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra.
Finally, we have the immune system.
This is composed by leukocytes, tonsils, adenoids, thymus, and spleen. Its principal function is to defend against microbial pathogens and other diseases.
Health is the basis of our life. That depends on everything we do. But what is? According to the World Health Organization, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just absence of disease. Before, the physical health is a good functioning of organisms. In the other hand, the mental health is referred to a balance into psychological, emotional, and social well-being in which the person is aware of their abilities. On the opposite of health is a disease, and a disease is an alteration or health condition of an individual who can be physical, mental, or social, and also can be affected by internal or external factors. We already talked about health, diseases, but I think so that it's important to highlight the health in teenagers, because sometimes we think that it's not common for teenagers to worry or care about their health, because this disease is less frequent in this stage, but is in a relation to childhood, adulthood, and old age. And this is completely wrong, because many health problems in teenagers are the result of personality, lifestyle, that something we will talk about later, ignorance, that is very common, or lack of information, like for example the disease or feeding, and that is caused sometimes we put on a diet, and this is so bad because we don't know what our body needs. For this reason, it's so important to promote health so that teenagers know the harmful effects and they may have on their overall well-being. Hinted earlier that we will talk about lifestyle, and lifestyle are in relation to life habits, and habits are the key of the development of some pathologies such as obesity, cardiovascular disease, or cancer. A healthy lifestyle depends on each one, on some factors such as food, if you consume alcohol, or if you practice physical activity, but the most important are the mental condition, and is to have a positive attitude to life.